we're going to look at our lining zipper pocket. So we have our zipper pocket facing, and this has been interfaced using a non-woven interfacing. I've always used, up until probably 6 months ago, I always used woven interfacing on my zipper facing panels until one of my wonderful testers said, "Have you tried non-woven?" "No," I said. "Have a go," she said, and it's much better. And I think the reason for that is because woven interfacing is designed to keep the drape in fabric, whereas non-woven fabric tends to be stiffer. We all know how crispy it can be, which is why it goes wrinkly when we try and turn a bag that we've made with non-woven interfacing. But actually for a facing, what you need is really nice crisp folds around the outside of the pocket aperture. So non-woven interfacing works a lot better. If you haven't got it, don't worry, use woven. From that point onwards, from that epiphany, I've used non-woven. So we're going to make the marks on the back of our zipper facing panel. I've already done them. So you're going to make a mark centrally from one end to the other. So that'll be 1 inch from the edge because this is a 2-inch wide panel. Then you're going to make a mark that is 1/8 of an inch to the left and then 1/8 of an inch to the right. So you can see there that I've done 2 lines, one above and one below. And then you're going to make a mark that is 1/2 an inch in from either end, which will effectively create a rectangle in the center that is 1/4 of an inch high by 7 inches long. And then I've just added those little triangles, and I've done that by hand. These are approximately 3/4 of an inch from this point down to the side points. It just gives you a guide of where you're going to cut. To be fair, normally I don't do those little triangles, but for the purpose of, if you're new to zipper pockets, it's worth doing just so that you know where you're going with it. So that's my zipper facing piece all prepared, and now I'm going to make a mark on my back lining panel. So I'm going to make a mark that is 1 inch from the top edge. So if you're using a fabric that has a direction to it, a design that's directional, make sure you're doing this from the top edge, otherwise your pocket will be either your pocket will be at the bottom of your bag, which is not a lot of good, or you'll find that your lining fabric is upside down inside, which isn't great. So I've done my line across, and now I'm going to fold my panel in half to find the center, and I'm going to fold this panel in half also to find the center, just so that I've got a mark. And I'm just folding it with my fingers. Actually my 1 inch line doesn't show very well on there because it's white and I've got a white chalk marker, so I'm just going to use my ruler, and I'm just going to line up my zipper facing panel. I'm just being a bit, checking. Yes, it is 1 inch. I suddenly thought maybe it's not 1 inch, but it is 1 inch from the top. So putting my zipper facing panel centrally onto my lining panel, 1 inch from the top edge, making sure that it's central by folding both panels in half and lining up that fold line. Now if you want to pop a pin through that, it's fine. I don't pop a pin through, I just hold it where it is and move it to the machine. So I'm just going to swivel you around a little bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sew from one end to the other down those outside lines that you drew. We're not sewing down the center line, we're only sewing down the outside lines. We are not sewing along the short ends of our rectangle. So making sure that your needle goes down right into the corner of your rectangle. Let's shorten my stitch again because I have it on top stitch length. Go all the way down one side of your rectangle. Slow down when you get to the other end because you want to land as accurately as you can on that corner. And then we're going to, that's it. We're going to go exactly the same way on the other side of our rectangle. So from one end to the other, but not the short ends. all the way down. A couple of back stitches at the end just to secure it. Get rid of my threads. So our zipper facing is now secured to our zipper, to my lining panel. I'm just going to fold it in half, make a small cut centrally. If I just poke my scissors through, you'll be able to see. It's a small cut centrally on, it's not on, it's smack on that central line, but it's not far off of it. And I'm going to use my scissors to cut all the way down that central line of our rectangle and then into the triangle. What you must make sure is that you do not trim into your stitching. If you do, your stitching on the outside will come undone and you'll have a hot mess of a pocket. So you can see there, I've come all the way up to the end and I've just cut that little triangle out. It's still there, the triangle piece is still there, but it's just been cut into the corners. So I'm going to push the sides of this zipper facing over and just give them a very gentle press. So I'm pressing them so that they're over that sort of central rectangle. Just finger pressing initially. So you can see they're both standing up, sort of standing proud of the pocket aperture. I'm going to take one end of the pocket facing and pop it through that hole that we've created. I'm going to take the other end and do the same thing. I would if I could get hold of it. Now from the reverse, if you pull those two ends, you'll find that your zipper facing kind of pings through the hole quite easily. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to roll between my fingers so that the facing is on the reverse, and I've used a different fabric for my facing, so I do need it to be on the reverse, otherwise it will show on the front. Roll it between my fingers so that the facing is totally concealed from the front, and once I've got it totally rolled to the back, I'm going to press it in place to make sure that it stays there. With the steam. Too many buttons on this iron for my liking. So that's one side. You can see that's the top edge sorted. And I'm doing this from the right side of my fabric, not from the wrong side. If you do it from the right side, you're less likely to get puckers at the corners. And puckering at the corners of zipper pockets is something that is a common issue. That's why I don't stitch the ends of the rectangle, because I feel that reduces the risk of puckering. I think using the non-woven interfacing reduces the risk of puckering. These are just my own thoughts, really. That I wouldn't like to say that they were gospel. These are what I have found that work for me. So if you have a different way of doing it, if you prefer a different method or a different interfacing, then that's fine, you know. Okay, so that gives us a perfectly rectangular aperture with the zipper facing not showing from the front of my lining fabric. On the reverse, we have the facing pulled right the way through. There are often a few, actually you can see there's a few puckers on the back there, but you can't see that from the front, so that doesn't matter. We won't actually see that once the bag is constructed. It's more important that there are no puckers on the front of your lining piece. So we are going to now retrieve our zipper pocket that we made earlier, and we are going to position our zipper pocket 1/2 inch below this aperture that we've made. So let me just turn that round. And normally I would do a line across, but because I can't see the chalk marker on here because it's I'm just going to fold my pocket in half to make sure I've got it centrally. I'm going to put my pocket up against the ruler, which is 1/2 inch below my zipper aperture, and my pocket is kind of where it needs to be. So I'm now going to stitch all the way around my pocket. Now if you want to pop a pin through, up to you, that's your lookout if you want to do that. I don't generally do that, I just stitch, reckless maybe. Okay, so as we stitch our pocket in place, we're going down the sides, along the bottom, and back up the other side. We will be closing that folded end of our slip pocket that we created with those hems. Make sure that your top stitched edge of your pocket is up towards the zipper aperture, otherwise your pocket will be upside down. I'm stitching here 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of the pocket because I'm going to do a second line of stitching. Again, because I've done 2 lines of top stitching on the pocket, I like to do 2 lines of stitching to secure it. So I'm just going to go back over here and I'm going to go round a second time. And there we are, second line of stitching. Now I like to divide my pocket in half. You can divide it into 3. You can divide it as it suits you. It depends really what you want to carry in your pocket. If you're just a phone and some keys, then or if you want to put pens in it, then you might want less or more. So it's really very much your call. So let me just make a mark sort of where I need my. We're going to go there, seems about right. Hard to see, but I have got a mark centrally. Now when I do my line dividing my pocket, I stitch from the bottom of the pocket upwards. If you stitch from the top of the pocket downwards and you get any kind of shifting in the fabric, you'll end up with a pucker at the bottom of your pocket, which I think is unattractive. This way, doing it bottom to top, it doesn't seem to happen. So well worth thinking about that. So just gonna do a single line of stitching to divide my pocket, and at the top of that line of stitching I'm just going to go back about 5 stitches, then turn slightly to the left, and then back. Effectively I'm going to create a chicken's foot. What the main problem with slip pockets is that they are, the sides and the corners of slip pockets are stress points, so people tend to put a lot in them and expect a lot from them, and they're the first thing to give on a bag. So I don't know if you can even see that, but there's a line of stitching that goes down and up on either side of that central line, and it just gives a little bit of reinforcement to that pocket. If you look at your jeans pockets, you'll notice that they all have that extra little V. Now I don't do it on the outside because I've got 2 lines of stitching, which is enough, but on that central line where I'm only putting a single line of stitching, those little triangles just help to give a little bit of reinforcement to that central area. So if you do overload your pockets and put lots and lots of stuff in them or pull at them, it's less likely to tear your lining. So I do it on nearly all my pockets. It's worth doing. So now we have a lining with a couple of slip pockets, or 3 if you've chosen to do that, and an aperture for our zipper. So I will come back and show you how to create your zipper pocket lining and how to fit it.